Hi, I'm TK Kugler, founder and managing partner of Wasabi Venture Stables, and I welcome all of you to the graduate program and Homebred Yearling Unveiling. And for some of you who have been around for years with us, I think this is the fourth one of these that we've done. I believe this is year four of this exact same presentation. And for some of you who have been to others, it's going to sound very, very similar, is what I'm telling you, because both the graduate program and the yearling program are completely unchanged from last year, and really have gone through very little change in the 4 years that we've had both of those programs. But the horses are new, which I bet many of you are here because of the horses and not because of the programs. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I'm going to share my screen. I hope. Just I thought I was going to share my screen. Test out two. I am going to now share my screen. Okay. So once again, this is our 2024 program and Homebred Unveiling. And I'm going to start with the graduate program. And the graduate program, like I said, I think we're in year 4 or 5 of the graduate program. And it is completely, for those of you who are current graduates, it is completely unchanged. It hasn't changed, I think, a single bit since we started it. But it's definitely unchanged from last year in every form, but I'll start there. So what is the graduate program? It's really the next step for a club member. And what I mean by that is we built the Wasabi Venture Stables really to be a place where anybody, no matter what your financial wherewithal, if you were interested in being an owner, you could own a substantive part of a horse, not micro shares, but actual percentages for in a program that was safe, transparent, and provided you a lot of opportunity for entertainment and education. The graduate program is for someone that probably has a little more deep pockets necessarily than just being a club member, because you're actually buying an ownership in a full racehorse. You are buying 20% of a racehorse, and that comes with all the bills that comes with it and all the opportunities that come with owning 20% of the horse. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We only offer it on yearlings and broodmares. We never do this on claims. We never do this on horses of racing age that we buy at auctions. It's only on yearlings and broodmares. We do have grads only webinars. They come and go different times of the year, but we try to have those. And all of this comes with WV's guiding hand. I stay the managing partner on a horse, and graduates get to be a part of that horse as it matriculates through the process. So details of the grad program. Once again, it's 20% owner. You can't buy 10%. You can't buy 30%. You can buy 20%. It's 20% of whatever the price is. So there's no upcharge. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing extra. There are only 2 slots per horse. So once again, if you do the math, if a yearling has 2 graduates in it, that's 40%. Wasabi always owns at least 20% of the racehorses. So that's 60% spoken for between 2 grad spots and one, and then Wasabi's own ownership. So, and that would leave 40% of the horse still available. It's a bill of sale transaction. You are a listed owner, which means you'll have to be licensed and registered with HISA. It is not an insurmountable task for you to do that if you've never been licensed. It's a real process, and we talk about it. We talk about how to do that. Some of you, I know, I can see some of you are already licensed, so it works out pretty easily. We use your silks. We'll help you get designs on silks if you don't have them already. And we use your silks in 1/5 of the races. Honestly, we probably wind up using your silks in more than 1/5 of the races. I know. I think I saw Mark Binkley on it. I think we've had horses where he's been a graduate where we used his silks almost every race. You'll get a monthly statement and slash invoice. Once again, you own 20% of that horse, so you get 20% of the bills. It's a full ownership. And we do the horse fund. You see Michelle's on the call. She has a request of at $20 per grad, which candidly is a very small amount of money for thinking about aftercare of a horse. But that's the graduate program. Okay. And once again, feel free to ask questions. You can ask as we go along, or you can or you can ask at the end. I'll give an opportunity. So the 2024 Yearling Program. So we talked about the graduate program. Let's talk about the Yearling Program. Oh, let's try not to hit all the buttons at one time. So the Yearling Program, once again, is 100% unchanged from last year. If you participated last year, it is exactly the same. If you participated a couple years ago, it's almost nearly the same, just slight changes since that time. Our yearling programs are, generally speaking, racing programs. The horses that we'll talk about tonight, we have every intention of keeping, breaking, getting to races, keeping to races, all of those things. These are not pin hooking. We're not selling them before they get to races. This is in no form that. These are the ones, especially the ones we're discussing tonight, are racehorses for us. But like most of our racing programs, if I see all of you are club members, and many of you have been on many horses. Once you buy in, you have no future risk beyond what I'm going to describe here. So just like all of our racing programs, if the horse loses all of its money and it never gets to a race and it has to have surgeries, none of those expenses are coming back to you as part of the Yearling Program. Those are all on Wasabi and the graduates, if there are any. I should have mentioned, if the 2 grad slots don't get filled, we just offer that up in the Yearling Program. We have plenty of yearlings. Probably the best yearling, the best horse that we have, maybe the best horse we have in our barn right now, came through the Yearling Program, and it has no graduates on it. So in that case, we offered it to the club as part of the Yearling Program. So key changes: you can buy between 0.25% and 5% possible, 1/4 percentages, very similar to what that we have. That we max it out at 1% for the first hour, to give as many people as a chance to buy in. There is no $99 horse admin fee here, so no fee. It is when we talk about the horses tonight, if the horse is valued at $7,000, 1% is $70. That's what you're buying. This is different because yearlings take a long time. We're selling the yearlings right now. They won't make it to the races for a whole nother year, right? So what we do is we do 4 quarterly payments of $93 per 1%. So if you buy 1% of a yearling, you're going to get 4 quarterly payments of $93. Multiply that, out. It's $372. I did that right on my head. Am I good at math or what? So you're paying $372 spread out over 4 payments. That actually goes in as revenue. If you know how our world works, that actually gets counted as revenue for you. And as the horse has expenses over the next year, it goes against that. And you'll see the revenue at the top and the expenses at the bottom of that $372, or your prorated amount of that. Once again, the horse fund has an aftercare request of $5 per 1% that you buy. That is its request. Okay. But other than that, it is just like any of our other racing programs. Okay. Once again, no risk, no downside risk. If the horse loses money, I'm not coming looking for that cash from you. If you own 1% of that horse, you don't have to be licensed. All of the things that our normal program comes with. Okay. So this is important. I will republish this on Slack just so everyone knows. This is the schedule for the offering of the yearlings that we have this year. There'll be 2 of them that we're going to talk about here in a minute. Prior to April 16th, by the way, today's April 16th, if you didn't know that, breeders of the foals, because these are homebreds, they had an option to reserve a percentage of the horse that they're in. Once again, we want people to experience the whole life cycle of breeding to racing to retirement. Honestly, that's really what we dream of. And so people that bought in the breeding aspect of this, if they want to stay in on the racing aspect of it, they get their first right of refusal on a horse. Now, they can't overbuy. So if they owned 1% of it as a foal, the most they can buy is 1%. Okay. So I can tell you when we get down to it, I'll cover the percentages that have already been reserved by the breeding folks, just so you know. April 16th, we're having our yearling and grad webinar right now. By the way, in case you didn't know or you're already drunk, that's the program you're at right now. So you all look fairly sober to me, so we're doing well so far. April 16th through the 20th, grad spots can be claimed in the yearlings. So for the next week, graduates, anybody that wants to be a graduate, on a first come, first serve, can say, hey, I want one of those spots. I'm going to take it. I'm going to pay for it. I'm in as a graduate. Okay, that's what happens next week. Next week, on the 23rd, once again, I will reiterate all of this on Slack multiple times, but on the 23rd, the 2023 Blofeld group text colt will be released. On April 25th, the Jimmy Creed, That's the Way to Do It, filly will be released. Okay, and once again, I'll put this all up on Slack. Okay. Now, let's talk about the release of the yearlings and who we have. There are actually 3 in this crop that we'll talk about, 2 of which we'll spend special attention on. So the first one is the 2023 Blofeld Group text colt. It was Maryland bred and Maryland sired, because Blofeld is a Maryland sire, and it was born at Murmur and is at St. Omer's, was at St. Omer's. It is now, and we'll talk about this in a second, it's in Virginia for certification. It has already left St. Omer's. It left St. Omer's on Sunday and is currently in a field with a bunch of New York bred horses starting its certification for Virginia. And so it's down at in the Middleburg area in a field right now. And the way the Virginia certification, for those that don't know and haven't participated with us before, the Virginia certification, you have to have 6 months in Virginia to be certified, and that gives you certain bonuses. It also gives you certain restricted races at Colonial, so we started the clock right away on these, and they'll probably go through their first part of breaking in the second half of this year. And the goal would be by the end of the year, they've actually finished their certification and are well on their way to being a racehorse. There's a quote here from George. The colt is stoutly made, powerful colt with a nice long hip and a big smooth walk, correct through the knees, loads of substance, framed to grow into a good-sized individual, extremely well balanced at this point too, I would add. Both of the colts, both of the yearlings that we're going to talk about today just went through the digital sale. The Fasig-Tipton digital sale in April, literally, I think it was last week. It was last week. $7,000 was the price that the market established. And so we brought it back. It's for $7,000. Basically, we bought the horse back at $7,000 and to offer it as part of the racing program. It was our plan early on given pedigree and the early physical on this one, that we wanted to race this horse, and so we did. Now, just for clarity, for those who aren't on the breeding of this horse, some of you I know are. I see you on here. Um, if the price had just gone crazy, we would have sold the horse. You know, if the market had said that the price, somebody would have gotten past $20,000, the horse would have sold. But the market stopped at 7, and so we bought it back. A graduate slot is 1,400, 20% of 7,000, and individual percentages, meaning 1%, is going to be $70. Once again, you can do as low as 0.25%. And that is the Blofeld Group Text Colt, looking in all his splendor there at St. Omer's. The next one up is a Jimmy Creed. That's the way to do it. Filly. She is Maryland bred, Kentucky sired. Obviously, Jimmy Creed is a Kentucky sire. Also in Virginia, same exact story, down there in a field with a bunch of other yearlings right now, starting the certification process. Very well balanced, racy looking filly, correct, well made. I should have mentioned both of them vetted very cleanly, no serious issues at all. That's another advantage of putting them through the sale. Medium size, plenty of bone and substance, very light on her feet. She looks athletic too, is a word I would use. $8,000 was the price at the sale, $1,600 digital grad slot, and $80 is the single percentage. Okay. And I did want to mention the third homebred yearling. This yearling actually went through the January sale, and we bought that one back for $25,000. This filly is already sold out. That is a fresh picture, though. George literally was out today taking that picture. So that is that filly at St. Omer's today, as a matter of fact. And George just does a fantastic job of those pictures. I have to tell you, they're pretty amazing. So, and it's
PK, I just have to stop you. That's a colt.
It is a colt. Well, I may have uploaded the wrong picture.
No, that looks like a colt.
It looks like a colt. Okay. Yes, it does look like a colt. Why did I call her? I called her a filly. She's a colt. I'm sorry. That's bad. That's bad on me. I hope I didn't give her a complex or anything. But in the modern world, I don't think I can. So, so I think it's all good. So, but it is a colt, not a filly. I'm sorry. That's just a typo on me on the slide. It is a colt. I did know that. Maryland bred, Kentucky sired, already sold out. Interesting and data point. He will be broken down in Florida. He will be heading to Ocala in the next 60 days, I would say, 45, 60 days to go to Ocala. You might ask, why is this one going to Ocala and not Middleburg? We had some weather issues, so we decided to see if we could split up the breaking this year and see. And it also works out a little better for some other logistical reasons for Zoe. And so this one's heading to Ocala at the Delson Jones Training Center is where he will be. And like I said, he'll probably leave sometime in the next 45, 60 days. No big super hurry there, but that's the plan. And that is our presentation today. I'm going to stop, see if we had any questions. I don't see any questions, but I'm open for questions. Like I said, this is a presentation we've done many times, and for those of you who have participated in the past, it was probably all old news. But if anyone's new, I'm happy to answer any questions. It's a quiet bunch too. Okay, I'll give it a couple more seconds. Give everybody a chance if they did want to ask anything. Steve Manson, give an estimate of a grad owner's expenses per year. Yes, in the grad document, if you're just so everyone knows, if you haven't joined, there is a channel on Slack called the Graduate Program, Graduate Dash Program, I believe. If you join there, there's actually a document that tries to estimate some of this. But what I would tell you, if when the horse begins its breaking process, you're probably looking at, and once again, this is nothing goes wrong. This is just everything's hunky dory. You're probably looking at about based on $3,000 a month, $2,500 during the breaking process. So that's $500, give or take, a month for a grad spot. And once it gets to racing, I try to tell people think between 3,500 and 4,000 as a monthly total expenses. So you're looking at 700 to 800, just as ballparks for you. Always, once again, subject to nothing going wrong there, and we don't decide we're going to ship it to Dubai or something and try to race over there because the expenses would be different then. But the other thing is that I would say, in some of you who have been graduates, if the expenses are going to be weird or strange, we usually talk it through it. If something's going to be so. Clarence asked, Blofeld is a Maryland sire, so the colt would be eligible for Maryland Million. That is correct, Clarence. The Blofeld is a Maryland sire, so that is a Maryland Million eligible horse. The Jimmy Creed is not specifically Maryland Million, but if it drew in on a small field, it could be, because it is Maryland bred, but it is not. And Bob's picking on my shirt there, so but yeah, so of these three, just the Blofeld would be Maryland Million eligible. I made the prediction, by the way. For those that don't know, I'm the chairman of the Maryland Million. I made a prediction at last Maryland Million that in 2 years, Blofeld will sweep every single race in 2 years. That's my prediction. I think his crop will be that good. So, that's my prediction. I don't think you can get a futures bet on it, but if you could, that's I would take it. So, any other questions from folks, or anybody else want to pick on my shirt? I'm also, I'm fair game, since I've already called a filly a colt filly, and my shirt's mesmerizing people. I feel it. Okay. Well, you could always ask questions on Slack, obviously. Once again, I'm going to post this recording. Will be on there. But in addition, I will take the calendar and schedule and post that as well on Slack in the next couple days. Graduates, anybody that wants to be a graduate, the market's open. So you can start reserving if you want one of the spots right now. And first come, first serve. So, and have a great night.